Welcome to the ZooKeeper install and setup video. In this video, we'll be using cluster SSH to install ZooKeeper on all three Linux VMs at the same time. Right now, I'm using a ping command to verify connectivity. Because each of the servers responded, that means no IPs have changed or there's nothing blocking the ping from accessing. So I'm running the cluster SSH command to attach to all three servers now. Basically, this is like a SSH, kind of like a terminal like we were using earlier, but when you click on the CSSH box, what you type in goes to all three SSH terminals simultaneously. Okay. So now I'm as the root user. First thing I'm going to do is stop the firewall deservice. Looks like the third box is cut off, but I'll fix that in just a second. So firewall D stopped and disabled from starting up again. Now I'm installing Java across all three machines simultaneously. Great. So maybe you can see now how using cluster SSH can decrease the setup times. I imagine in most enterprises, the next step really is using automation tools like Ansible or orchestration tools like Kubernetes, but for this, we're using cluster SSH for now. So we're going to make the directories for Pulsar to live in. This source directory is where we will download Pulsar. Pulsar does include ZooKeeper and Bookkeeper with it, so we only have one binary to download, which just makes life a little easier. Also means this video is a little bit longer than the other ones. As we set up ZooKeeper, it's going to set up some other things for us as well. Okay, so Pulsar is downloaded. So we're untarring, or it's similar to unzipping. So we're untarring the Pulsar tar, and okay. So when you untar it, so it creates the Apache Pulsar 2.7.0, and we just did a symlink. Basically, a symlink is like a shortcut in Linux. Okay, now we're going to create another few directories for ZooKeeper specifically. This MyID file that we're creating is basically like the server number in ZooKeeper, so it can keep track of its broker ID. It's not exactly a broker, but it's pretty similar to the idea of a broker. All right, so we're editing the ZooKeeper config file now. Now we need to add in the server names as well as change the data directory. So we just created the, using the makedir commands, we created the data directory. So we're just drop that in here. Now at the bottom, I'm copying and pasting in the server addresses. Now, because we are the root user, whatever files we create are owned by the root user, so we also don't want to run Pulsar as root. We will end up running Pulsar as the Pulsar user. So we actually need to add the user first before we change the permissions. And there we go. User add and user mod is us creating the Pulsar user. And now we can change the ownership of OptiTraining. Okay, so LL shows us that Pulsar group and Pulsar user owns those files, well, folders rather. Now I'm creating the service file. This is used for the systemctl commands we're going to do later. Just basically, we use this to start and stop ZooKeeper. So daemon, whenever you add a new service file or change one, you need to do a daemon reload. That basically causes systemctl to go out and read the new service files, and after that, we're starting ZooKeeper. It's going to take a while for ZooKeeper to start, so we'll just give it a little bit. And running a systemctl status ZooKeeper will show us the status of the process. All right. So now we are going to run a command to set up the cluster metadata. So we're only going to run it once. So I'm left clicking on this Pulsar Training 02 box, and I'm going to press enter so it only runs once. Okay, so we see cluster metadata updated correctly, or set up correctly. That's what we want to see.